From the studios of Warren Tech North, this is Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McMinimee.
Hi, I'm Superintendent Dan McMinimee. Thanks so much for being with us today. Our focus this time is on a Jeffco Schools partner who does a lot for us. We're talking about the Action Center, their mission to provide basic human needs and pathways to self-sufficiency for Jefferson County residents in need. One of their biggest projects is a school supply distribution, which they conduct in partnership with Jeffco Schools every August to help Jeffco students and families that are struggling. Over the years, they've helped thousands of kids with everything from backpacks to notebooks to crayons and pencils, and it means the world to these kids and their families to have one less worry to start off a new school year. This year's distribution was at Stevens Elementary, where we spoke with Barbara Penning, Director of Volunteer Programs and In-Kind Donations.
It really is the way we kick off the school season. And I think for us at the Action Center, when you remember what our mission statement is, which is to always provide an immediate response to basic human needs and promote pathways to self-sufficiency. And school supplies for us are one of the ways that we promote those pathways to self-sufficiency under our prevention banner. Because when you really think about it, families who are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're making it, but you hit August and you have 2 or 3 kids that need school supplies, that's not in your budget. It doesn't work. And so what happens then, people are going to make sure that their kids have school supplies, and then they short themselves on their rent money, their car payment, medicine, food, whatever it takes, because their kids are going to go back with school supplies. And the average figure across the country is about $95 a child, and that's just basic supplies. That's not shoes, that's not that they've outgrown, that's not all the other things that kids need to have. So with the help of the community, we're able to provide school supplies this year to about 5,500 kids.
More of our conversation with Barbara after this break.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but as you grew up, things changed. Teaching just didn't seem like the best option anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Interesting and innovative things are happening in teaching today. So it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
We're back, and we're continuing to learn more about the work of the Action Center, which partners with us to provide a school supply distribution for Jeffco students and families that struggle to afford back-to-school basics. Here again is our wonderful partner, Barbara Penning, Director of Volunteer Programs and In-Kind Donations, who spoke with us during a very busy morning at Stevens Elementary, where this year's distribution took place. We asked her how families sign up and qualify for this program.
First of all, you must sign up to be a client of the Action Center. And so we get the word out through all of the schools. We sent information out in April through the principals and administrative offices, so that when people were getting their information for the end of the school year, they also got the flyer that said we would be doing school supplies, trying to take the stress off early in the year for people. In addition, when kids are registering for school right now, which is what's going on in all the Jefferson County schools, they get the flyer then to say, and it's, we're a believer that people are honest, and so it's self-declare. If you need, then you need. For anyone to think that it's not more fun for a parent to take a child to Target or Walmart and pick out their own school supplies, and instead they would come here to get them. You come here because there's a need. You come here and have to wait. You come here for a pre-packed bag. It's all your basics, and you will get off to school with a good start, but it's not as much fun, as we all know. So I think that we believe that parents who come and say they need, we know they need. Last year, we do a rotating alphabet, so if your last name begins with A, you're not always first in the first day every year that we do any kind of a drive. So if you look at alphabet days to alphabet days, last year through Monday and Tuesday, we had served 2,040 kids. Yesterday, we had served 1,950. So some variation in the alphabet. So I would say we're tracking pretty much the same to get close to 5,500. We have the supplies to get us through 5,500. We encourage our donors. We encourage people who are very invested in helping our students to get out there at the end of August, the first part of September, that Labor Day weekend, pick up the school supplies that are at a significant 50 off, 75% off. That's how we begin to store up school supplies for next year. So that we can, because we begin to pack school supplies the middle of July, and people aren't thinking about school and giving us donations. So we really pound hard to get the word out right now as it relates to just saying take advantage now. If you have a little bit of extra cash and you want to help, I must tell you there are just some wonderful stories of kids who have emptied their piggy bags and brought us the contents of their piggy bags. Last week, a little boy came with his mother walking up to the front of the Action Center, and our greeter standing at the front door greeted them, just thinking they were coming in for services, and the mother said no, her little son had a donation to make. And so we were handed a little baggie of quarters and nickels and dimes and $1. But it's the cars that come through all day long, bringing a small bag, a big bag, a trunk full, a pickup truck full. I mean, it really is remarkable, and I think whenever I look at the donations that are around this gym, it's very obvious how the community supports us and how the community cares about their neighbors. And they know that not everyone can make it paycheck to paycheck. And our community is stronger when we are able to say, you know what, down the street, that family's having a hard time this year. Let's make sure that they have school supplies. Let's make sure they have enough food. Let's get them into the Action Center. And I think for me, my passion is, you know, I want people to understand these are responsible people. We don't need to perpetuate some myth that people are takers. People are responsible. They're working hard. They are juggling many, many issues. I had a grandmother in yesterday who was so concerned that she was going to get here on the right alphabet day, that she came from the hospital in a wheelchair with her daughter driving her because she wanted to make sure that her grandkids that she was raising had their school supplies. And so when you see that kind of effort, you see people taking 3 buses to get here. You see people who, there was a young mother on Monday who came to me at 10:30. She had been in the line since we opened at 10, and she said, I was able to take a second shift on my job, but I have to be there at 12 o'clock. My employer said I could have an extra day this week, and she said, I need that extra day. Is there any way you can move me forward in that line? And I thought, you bet I'm going to move you forward in that line, because it's not going to affect that many people, but it is going to affect you, and it is going to affect how you are able to support your kids this month and get them back to school. So there's stories like that every single day. We have stacks of thank you notes, and that's the other thing that's so darn wonderful about this event and others that we do, to read the thank you notes. But you watch parents, and it's across the board, walking over to the thank you table and saying to their kids, now is the time to write the thank you note. And so the kids will draw pictures, they'll write little thank you notes. And I just saw one of the volunteers at the thank you table this morning who said, I don't know if I can sit here. I just keep reading these notes and crying. And I said, you know, my belief is if you don't tear up once a day when you're dealing with the people in our communities that are struggling, then you're just not paying attention to their stories. You're just not, because it's out there. And when you look at how people are working so hard, and you know, not everyone starts with the same what I call even playing field in terms of our own genetic makeup, in terms of the family that we didn't choose. We were born into a family. Not every family has coping skills. Not every family has been raised themselves by parents who were able to give them budgeting, and so there's so many things. And then you see families who are pulling it together regardless. Yesterday there was a mother sitting with 4 children in a circle, because we also provide books for the kids to take home while they're waiting. She was sitting in a circle and all 4 of them were reading. All 4 of them, and she kept interacting with each one's story. And I thought, these children are going to make it because that mother, for whatever her skill set, whatever she came from, whatever her issues are, she was doing her best. Education meant something to her. And you see fathers coming in here, you see single dads, you see, they want their kids to start with a good set of school supplies. So I could just go on and on.
I was personally out at Stevens, and I was in awe of the way our community works together to provide for these students. Not only do students have the materials necessary to be successful, but they are given a feeling of hope and caring that extends well past the supplies. I was blown away at the students, staff, and community organizations that are volunteering their time to help in this endeavor. It made me very proud to be a part of this district, and you should be very proud too. That wraps up this podcast. You can catch all of our Building Bright Futures episodes on JPS-TV or on iTunes. Thanks for listening and subscribing. Until next time.
This has been Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McMinimee. This is a production of Jeffco Public Schools.